Master of Ceremonies. My name is Hiram Williams. Um, some of you know me as Brother Williams, but everybody calls me Hiram, okay? We're thankful that you're here. We have a program that is chock full of things that you'll be educated by, things that you'll be surprised by, and we hope that you enjoy all the things that we have prepared for you. The theme of the program is Still I Rise, honoring our past, shaping our future. Today we gather not only to celebrate Black History Month, but to encourage you to action, hoping to inspire you to action by using our voices, our votes, and vision to create positive change in our community and in our world. Thank you all for being here. Can you give yourselves a round of applause? Just a round of applause. All right. When we talk about you being here, we're not only talking about you physically being here, but the long way we've traveled as a family in our history to be here. So we have a lot to be thankful for. We're going to give glory and grace to God. If you will humbly bow with me in a word of prayer. Father God, so thankful, Father, for you being there with us every step of the way. Through our family history, Father, through the things that we can be so thankful for, things that we don't know about, things in our history that we don't know about, but Father, you brought us through. Father, we are going to spend this time with you watching over us, Father, as we give honor to our past. Be thankful for where we've been, Father, and hopeful for what the future may bring. Father, be with us the next few hours, Father. Look over us, bless us, and keep us. Our families as well, Father. We ask these things in your Son's name. Amen. All right. So the first on our program, we have Corrine, thank you, because I was about to say something I know I was going to get wrong. She's going to come up and grace us with a poem, And Still I Rise.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air, I'll rise. Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from the past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
All right. Thank you, Sister Wells. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. All right. We're going to keep the program moving. Next, reflect on the legacy of those who fought for our rights to vote with a little video that a few friends and I shot together. The video presentation is titled, Your Vote, Their Legacy. And we can say it's been putting on by the Church of Christ Black History Month actors. I hope you enjoy it.
Better chicken, but hey, it's what you think.
I'm telling you, it's got the best barbecue chicken here, bro. This stuff's sweet.
You sure about that?
Sure about it, bro. Sure.
I'll be right with you, man. Just a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait.
I know a boy named Carl down there who makes fire, sliced chicken, barbecue chicken. You know anything?
You gentlemen like the booth? Would you like to sit at the bar?
You like to barbecue?
Here, follow me, please. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the Hickory Log. Here's our menu. And how can I help you? I'm sure you'll find something that you'll like on that menu.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. They got this roundup sandwich brisket looking pretty good.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, but hey, man, the roundup sandwiches, man, they actually look good. But hey, I don't really know what to do. I ain't gonna hold.
I mean, hey, they got this six wings. Trying to get that for 12.
I mean, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that.
Let's get the lemon pepper ones then. All right.
All right.
We would like the lemon pepper chicken wings. 2 of those, please.
Chicken wings for both of you guys?
Yes.
All right, fine.
I don't get you, Jaden. Elections are coming up and you're not gonna vote? Turn away your voice, man.
What's the point? It's not like my single vote is going to change everything.
That's the problem. You think it's just you, but it's all of us.
What has changed? What has changed? It's not like a matter. We always have to do the same problems, same fights, and same broken promises.
Well, it's not perfect, but we're getting there. It's progress. Did you not know about the ancestors that fought back for our voting rights back in 1965?
Maybe they fought so I could choose not to vote. Did you ever think about that?
Evening, gentlemen. Anything else I can get for you?
Nah, we're good. Thanks. You ready to go?
Yeah. Excellent. How do you feel about voting?
Now, that's a loaded question. But I tell you this, some things are worth fighting for, even if you don't see the payoff right away. You ever hear of Reconstruction or the 15th Amendment?
Yeah, vaguely. That's when black men got the right to vote, right?
1870, but it wasn't easy. States used literacy tests, poll taxes, and even violence to keep us from the polls. It took nearly 100 years, people like John Lewis marching in Selma to get bills like the Voting Rights Act passed.
Sounds like Marcus gave you a script.
Maybe, but just maybe I've lived long enough to see the cost of staying silent.
I'll meet you outside.
You got a lot on your mind, son.
Yeah. Just thinking.
Are you thinking or are you making excuses? You know, you remind me of myself back in 1867, sitting in a room just like this, wondering if I should go and try to vote.
Wait, what?
It was dangerous back then. Folks like me weren't just turned away, we were beaten and jailed, sometimes even worse. But we still kept going. Do you know why?
Because you had to?
No, because we believed in something bigger. Freedom didn't end with emancipation. It's a fight that goes on every generation. Do you know how many people died trying to register to vote? Ever heard of the Mississippi burning murders in 1964?
Yeah. Three civil rights workers died, right?
That's right, and a lot more that didn't make the news. People gave their lives so you could have this right. What are you going to do? Let their sacrifices go to waste?
But what's the point if nothing changes?
Change takes time and courage. Do you think my vote ended racism? No, but it planted a seed, and each vote after that has watered that seed. And now, you're holding the watering can. What are you going to do? Let it dry up? Remember this. Your vote is your voice. And your voice is your power. Don't let anyone, not even yourself, convince you that it doesn't matter.
You good? You've been sitting here for a while.
Yeah. Just got some thinking to do. That's all.
Thinking, that's new.
Wait. Hold up.
Oh.
When we gonna get our chicken?
Hold up, I'll get that chicken for you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. matter 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong.
Okay, it was a little rough. It's a little rough. Okay. Had to do a little bit better with the volume, but it was okay.
It was awesome. Let's give it up for him. Surprise. Thank you, everyone who's in the show.
All right, so next, we have a guest speaker. He's going to talk to us about the importance of activism. Change doesn't happen without action. Here to speak on the importance of activism is Mr. Mark McCormick, Executive Director of the Kansas City Black Leadership Council. Mr. McCormick is a New York Times bestselling author and journalist with 20 years of experience. He has won over 20 awards, including 5 gold medals from the Kansas City Press Club. His work appears in NFL films as Barry Sanders, A Football Life, and documentaries on Gordon Parks and William Allen White. McCormick co-authored African Americans of Wichita and published Some Were Paupers, Some Were Kings. He is the executive director of the Kansas Black Leadership Council and chairs the Kansas African American Affairs Commission. Would you please give a warm applause to Mr. Mark McCormick?
How's everybody doing? Oh, how's everybody doing? All right. You know, I had a cousin who is now the patriarch of our family. And when he was very small, maybe 5 years old, he was in the yard with his mom. And the neighbor lady came over, and Donnie was just staring at her and staring at her to the point where his mom had to say, "Donnie, it's not polite to stare." And he looked up at his mom, he looked over at the woman, he looked back at his mom, and he said, "Well, Mama, I thought you said Mrs. Jones had 2 faces. I don't see but one." And I'm only sharing that story because it's always so nice to be in a place like this and see how warm, naturally warm our people are, how you greeted each other, how with smiles and hugs. I always want to be in this kind of environment, so thank you very much for the invitation. My presentation is going to be essentially about what we're doing at the Kansas Black Leadership Council to change what life is like for African Americans in this state. I'll mix in a little bit of history about Martin Luther King and a little bit about our economy as well. And I'll be out of your hair in about 15 minutes. Is that a deal? I'm not a long talker, so blessed are the brief, because they shall be invited back. Now that he is safely dead, let us praise him, build monuments to his glory, sing hosannas to his name. Dead men make such convenient heroes, for they cannot rise to challenge the messages and images that we would fashion from their lives. And besides, it is easier to build monuments than to build a better world. So now that he is safely dead, we with ease consciences will tell our children that he was a great man, knowing that the cause for which he lived is still a cause, and the dream for which he died is still a dream, a dead man's dream. This poem by Carl Wendell Hines Jr. was actually written in the aftermath of Malcolm X's assassination. And yet, it seems to fit so neatly into the legacy of Martin Luther King. It feels so appropriate. King knew that acting had consequences. He had his phone bugged by a government that didn't want him to win the Nobel Peace Prize because winning such a prestigious award would lend too much credibility to the civil rights movement. When he spoke against Vietnam and against war in general, people who had followed him suddenly started to avoid him. Wells of fundraising began to dry up. Fewer and fewer people were inviting him to speak. His anti-war rhetoric united the editorial boards of the Washington Post and the New York Times, as well as some of his colleagues in the movement who told him that you need to stick to what you know: church and civil rights. Dr. King had his home firebombed. He battled chronic migraines. He was hospitalized again and again for what they were terming then exhaustion, but what we would probably call today depression and anxiety. And despite all of this, he knew that it was time to act. And so does the Kansas Black Leadership Council. In fact, it's past time to act. What slows our society down, I think, is an over-reliance on knowing. And knowing is part of the process, but I would submit to you now that we know enough. We know that race was an organizing principle for the formation of our society. As people of African descent, we've now stood on this continent as enslaved people, as sharecroppers, and second-class citizens for roughly 350 years, and it will not be until 2289 that we will have been free as long as we were subject to slavery and to Jim Crow. Think about that, 2289. We know the areas in which we have struggled. We struggle with police terror, ineffective political representation. We need health care. We need wealth building. We know enough already. And the challenge for us at KBLC, and really for all of us, is really. Yeah, I really wanted to emphasize that point. Y'all ready to act now? Because dreams without goals are just going to remain dreams. I heard Denzel Washington say that. And that you have to put discipline and consistency behind those dreams. And make no mistake, there's very real peril in this formulation to act. James Baldwin said in The Fire Next Time, to act is to be committed. And to be committed is to be in danger, especially in this society. King knew that better than anybody. We tend to gloss over his work. It's almost like he gave his I Have a Dream speech, racism went away, and Barack Obama became president. Everything's done. But we know that there was so much more in between, so much more work that we need to do. In a 1964 Gallup poll, respondents placed Dr. King number 4 on the list of the most respected leaders in the world. He trailed only President Lyndon Johnson, England's Winston Churchill, and former President Dwight Eisenhower. The next year, though, he dropped to number 6. And by 1966, he was off the list altogether. And at the time of his death, 75% of Americans had a negative opinion of him, and that included 55% of our own people. To act is to be committed, and to be committed is to be in danger. So again, this is our challenge at KBLC, summoning the accumulated knowledge and skill and expertise to begin moving forward, to act. It's really only been since November that I started this job, and I've been doing some infrastructure work and things like that. We're going to be lobbying on a raft of issues during this legislative session. I'll be doing some leadership training, some writing workshops and things like that. And while we're going to be monitoring what happens in Topeka, the last election didn't really turn out the way a lot of us wanted. There's a supermajority of people who are dead set against anything civil rights oriented. There are attacks on DEI, as well as general attacks on voting, and I'll talk about that a little later. But we're going to be pushing for the passage of something called the Crown Act. And I'm going to be visiting city council meetings, county commission meetings, school boards, to get them to consider this prohibition against people being persecuted simply because they wear their hair a certain way. CROWN is an acronym for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair. And sadly, this kind of workplace and school discrimination is very common. We're also going to be focused on police accountability and transparency. For the past 4 months, I've been writing about the shooting death of a man named Taylor Lowry at the hands of Topeka police. I still write a column for the Kansas Reflector online. Police shot Taylor 34 times. The original release from the Shawnee County District Attorney Mike Kage said that Lowry had lunged at police with a knife. But the family's attorney secured the body cam footage after a 2-year fight. And once we saw the video, we understood why they wanted to keep the video hidden. Lowry never lunged at anyone. In fact, he had a socket wrench and was moving away from police as they began to fire. Also on the video, we see Taylor's distraught sister arriving at the scene in tears and asking the officers if they'd killed her brother. And the officer lied on the spot, saying that Taylor had charged them with a knife held over his head. But for the successful fight for that video, we'd never know the truth. And without transparency, we'll never get to know the truth. We simply cannot hold police accountable without some form of transparency. Those things go hand in hand. In fact, we can't arrive at truth with a capital T, until suffering is allowed to speak. And great suffering has been hidden from us through the systematic withholding of police video. So we're going to be pushing for greater transparency and greater access to those videos. And lastly, we're going to be focusing on uplifting and promoting Black business and Black entrepreneurship. And this is incredibly important work. The road to parity, the road to equality, the road to prosperity is typically paved by community business success. Business controls our politics because money controls our politics. And this is true in both parties. Business wields enormous influence in legislation and in regulation. You know, I subscribe to Scott Galloway's newsletter. Galloway is a professor of marketing at the NYU School of Business, and he shared some stats in a recent interview that I found fascinating. He said one company owns 2/3 of all social media globally. Meta, what we call Facebook. One company owns 93% of all internet search. Google. It's even a verb. One company has 50% of all e-commerce. That's Amazon. The same Amazon, I'll remind you, owned by Jeff Bezos, who also owns the Washington Post. The same Bezos who told the newspaper's editorial board, you can't endorse Kamala Harris, even though they had already written the editorial. And it's not unlikely that Bezos, who is a millionaire, is going to have a lot of business in front of our new president. A few more interesting facts from Galloway. He says that the fastest growing demographic in this country, it's not the elderly, it's not Latinos, but billionaires. He said 10 years ago, America had 500 billionaires. Today, we have 2,500 and counting. And see, here's the problem. About 40% of American households are now struggling with some kind of medical debt or dental debt. 20% of households with children are food insecure. And in this milieu, we have individuals who are worth more than Boeing, who are worth more than a Latin American nation state. It's like the board game Monopoly we used to play. The game ends when one person has all the money. Louis Brandeis, the late U.S. Supreme Court Justice, said, we can either have a democracy in this country, or we can have great wealth concentrated in the hands of few, but we can't have both. Now, it would be wrong to say that we have not made progress since Dr. King's death, and we have indeed. And to say that we haven't would dishonor all the people who faced those snarling dogs, those lashing fire hoses, the indiscriminate beatings, and even death, so that we could all sit here today. And yet, I am struck by how much has not changed. Near the end of his life, Dr. King was organizing a Poor People's March. I have a friend who actually traveled to the event, which organizers were trying to carry on despite Dr. King's death. It was meant to highlight the struggles of the poor. Today, however, politicians don't talk about the poor anymore. They only seem to talk about the middle class, and in particular, the white working class. Consider all those statistics I was sharing from Dr. Galloway about medical debt, about food insecurity. You could argue that we need a Poor People's March more today, more than ever. Think about this. After decades in the shadows, neo-Nazis and people who call themselves white nationalists are now marching openly, not just in pockets of rural America, but in Charlottesville, Virginia, in Washington, D.C. And even though we're not at war at the moment, we still devote billions and billions of dollars for the preparation of war. When our defense secretary was being grilled in his hearings, he said, we need to build a whole new fleet of ships. And what was interesting was no one even asked if we could afford it. If we were trying to do something for poor people, we said, oh, we can't afford it. But we always have money for war, but we can't feed the poor. King called these the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism, and they are alive and well. And that kind of brings us full circle. KBOC has a legislative and policy agenda. We want to hold public servants accountable by demanding greater transparency while building community and grassroots power through business and entrepreneurship to support all of that work. We know what our issues are. We know we have the talent in our communities, and we are ready to act. So in sum, we're not here to build monuments. We're here to build a better world. And for that to happen, we all got to work together, and I hope you all join us. So thank you for having me.
Let's give it again. Let's give it again. Let's give it up again for Mark McCormick. Thank you. Yes, those statistics were sobering and sad to hear. Next, we're going to be entertained by some songsters. The Psalmsters. We're going to welcome them up to the stage. Let our spirits be lifted up by their performance. I'm sure many faces will be familiar to you. All right?
Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God is gonna trouble the water now. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water now. God's gonna trouble the water now. Wade in the water now. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water now. God's gonna trouble the water. Come on now, wade in the water. Oh, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Oh, God's gonna trouble the water. Oh, now you don't believe I've been redeemed. God's gonna trouble the water. Come on, follow me down to Jordan stream. God is gonna trouble the water. Oh, now wade in the water. Come on now, wade in the water. God's children, wade in the water. My God's gonna trouble the water. Oh, I stepped in the water and the water was cold. God is gonna trouble the water. Oh, it is my body, but not my soul. God's gonna trouble the water. Oh, now wade in the water. Come on now, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. Come on now, God's gonna trouble the water. You know that God's gonna trouble the water. You know it's healing in the water, the water.
For the advancement of colored people, known as the NAACP, was founded. This organization played a pivotal role in the civil rights movement in the United States. Its mission was to combat racial discrimination, segregation, and inequality. The NAACP used legal means, advocacy, and activism to challenge and change unjust laws and practices. Over the years, it made significant contributions to the struggle for civil rights, culminating in the landmark Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education, which led to the desegregation of American schools. The NAACP's founding in 1909 marked the beginning of a long and impactful journey toward racial equality in the United States. In 1909, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, known as the NAACP, was founded. This organization played a pivotal role in the civil rights movement in the United States. Its mission was to combat racial discrimination, segregation, and inequality. The NAACP used legal means, advocacy, and activism to challenge and change unjust laws and practices. Over the years, it made significant contributions to the struggle for civil rights, culminating in the landmark Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education, which led to the desegregation of American schools. The NAACP's founding in 1909 marked the beginning of a long and impactful journey toward racial equality in the United States.
All right. I hope you're getting filled today with a lot of your black history. All right. We're going to continue the fun with a song presentation by Cruz Wells. Come up here and sing to us.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. And I fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. For we cross the river. Do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gotta keep on, keep it on. I can feel it in my bones. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, gotta start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy waters. You know I got a made up mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. For we'll cross the river. Do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gotta keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. And I know what's beyond that bound might be hard to face, 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but the Lord knows I tried. Sure stars fill up the sky. Stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. For across the river, do you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gotta keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
All right. Yeah, let's give it up for her. Come on now. Yes. Wonderful job. Wonderful. You did that. You did that. Yes, yes, yes. She said, stand up. Stand up. Man. Beautiful, beautiful voice. Thank you, Cruz. All right. So next on our agenda, the importance of education.
Dedicated her life to education and civil rights. After realizing the importance of schooling, she founded the Daytona Normal and Industrial Institute for Negro Girls in 1904. Bethune's vision extended beyond the classroom. She believed education was a pathway to liberation. As a member of the National Association of Colored Women, she advocated for racial equality and women's rights. She served as the advisor to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, influencing policies that affected African Americans. Bethune's legacy lives on, reminding us that education is a powerful tool for change, empowerment, and progress in society.
All right. So I know that woman. Shanae is going to grace us with her presence now and discuss with us the importance of education. I want to give her her proper introduction. Shanae George Clark is a USD 500 board member. She is a lifelong Wyandotte County resident with over 20 years in the financial industry, including 14 with Commerce Bank. She chairs the Inclusion and Diversity Council, mentors youth, and supports career development. A proud KCK Public Schools graduate, she serves on the KCK School Board and holds degrees from KCKCC and Friends University. Married to Donnie Clark Jr. with 3 children, she's committed to empowering her community and lives by the motto, to whom much is given, much is required. Would you put your hands together for Sister Clark?
Good afternoon. I'm waiting and looking there for the next slide. What I want to do is first showcase the board that I serve on, because the work that I do not do alone. And part of being an elected official is to be able to speak on behalf of those people that have placed you in those offices, those votes that we spoke to, and do what's best for all students. So with that, here's our board. So we are an elected body of 7 individuals with a very diverse background. We have a minister that ministers very close. We have 2 individuals that are teachers. Some of you may have even gone through their classrooms. Rachel there in the front in the jeans, she is a DEI director. They just spoke about my background being financial, and then Mr. Lopez works there for a nonprofit. And Dr. Wynn, if you ever went to KCK Community College, she may have been your instructor. So that is the body of 7 individuals that we work with. Next slide, please. Dr. Anna Stubblefield is our superintendent. She is the first Black woman superintendent to be able to serve within our district. I had the privilege of being able to go through the hiring process to get Dr. Stubblefield here. What most people don't know is that the board has responsibilities for 2 employees. Those 2 employees are Dr. Stubblefield at this point, our superintendent, and our board clerk. Other than that, everything else falls in the hands of Dr. Stubblefield. Our job as a board is to provide policy, procedures, and financial, be good governs of our financials. So, next slide, please. Everything I have here, you can go to our website. You can see Shanae or Yolanda, however you know me. I did not make this information up. Andrew, this is my home congregation, so I am at home. All of the stats you see here are stats that I did take from our website. Again, my job is to be able to, or the board's job is to be able to keep our students safe, put policy in place so that our superintendent can run our district in a way that is beneficial to all. A lot of people say, but my kid. And I will say our policy should be inclusive to all students, and being inclusive means we want to take care of your student as well. When you take care of a body of 24,000 students, then that's a pretty broad net. We cannot do it by ourselves. So with that being said, 21,000, what shocks most people is our Hispanic population. So we are at 58%, which is shocking to a lot of people. And when I talk about the policy, I stay pretty close to the news right now because, as you know, there's a lot of different things that are happening within our communities, plural. And so, again, keeping all students safe and adjusting those policies to the best of our ability at this point is really, really big. I will not go through all of this. You will see we have the largest district. A lot of times we get asked the question, and I know that people that serve on any board or have any type of leadership position get asked lots of questions. Having the largest district, a lot of times things get out of hand, or maybe they are okay, but you can't change things overnight. And so things take time, and we cannot do it by ourselves. So I'm standing in front of you today to say, we need you as much as possible. We need each other. Free and reduced lunch, our stats are there. How many schools we have, our stats are there. We are having conversations right now about the bond that did pass and how can we enhance our schools that we have, and then where we are today with our goals and our graduation rate. Do we have future plans? Yes, we do, but we also have to keep in mind the pipeline of students that we have been educating. We are continuing to educate those students, and how can we do better with those that are coming into our school district? So, thank you. Sister Ford asked me to speak to, what is it that we're working on? We meet on average twice a month. We also have board retreats. We also have committee meetings that we are involved in. And what I will tell people is, you heard that I have a career, right? Because all of this work that we do because we love our community. I receive no dollars for the work that I do. I don't receive anything for the emails, for the problems I solve, for the heated conversations, for the accusations. I receive nothing but my dignity, and because I'm with my church family, how I stand before the Lord. That is what I receive. So here you'll see that we have 5 themes, and those themes, they funnel down to our staff. So how we prioritize from the top is what gets fed down to all of our staff, all of our students. And one of my favorite sayings that I use a lot when we do this work is, when the elephants tussle, the grass suffers. And I truly believe that, because the weight that we can carry at the top, it goes to the bottom. So we don't want the grass to suffer, which is why we try to do the best that we can. You can go through and you can read these for yourself. I would say one of the things that we get a lot of pushback on, and if you were to join any board meeting right now, you will hear a lot about dollars and how are we being financially responsible. If you really want to hear that conversation, I invite you March the 11th to come out to our listening and learning tour. And in that conversation it's a listening and learning tour. We're listening and we're learning. And we take those notes and we apply them to how we can better our district based upon our taxpayers' voice. So that is one way that you definitely can have your voice at the table, being fair, being equitable, how are we using our resources, and how are we setting policies. So there's district focus areas there too. And again, I will point out that last one, priorities, data-based. You can hear all day long, well, this community for so long has done this, and these people have done this, and these people have done that. A lot of what we say at this point is, where's your data? Because what's noisy always rises to the top, right? And so we want to make sure that we're using data to be able to support the decisions that we're making and to be able to move things along. I think that's the last slide. Okay. All right. I know I went through that really fast. I could stand here and talk to you all day because that's how long I spend in this space. But I'm always willing to answer any questions. And I tell my church family, I'm 1,000% here for you. What I will always say to you is, who have you talked to? Because I have a responsibility to go through the right protocols. Now, if you tell me I've been through the school, I've been through the principal, then I'm gonna tell you what's next steps. I won't put those out there, but there are next steps that you are able to do to get your voice heard. I have no problem ever helping, but I also wanna support the staff that gets paid to do their job.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Clark. That was wonderful. All right. We're going to slide into another guest speaker that we've invited here. I understand that, let's see here if I can get her paperwork. Where is Charlotte? I'm going to call on you for a second here. Were we going to go with Ms. McClellan now?
I'm sorry. Here I come.
Yes.
We'll be speaking next is Sister Nancy George.
Oh, okay.
So she's going to be speaking to us about a housing initiative here in Kansas City, Kansas, and it's with the Justice Ministry. We did, one of our speakers made it in, and we're going to fit her back in, and she's going to be speaking to us about the NAACP. And we all need to understand exactly what we can do to get involved, and that is truly what today is about. So we'll fit her back in a little bit later, but now we're going to bring up Sister George.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let me get. All right. Housing justice is community justice. Let's watch the Wyandotte Housing Trust video presented by Nancy George. Come on up here.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you can hear me. You're about to view a short video about redlining and homelessness in Wyandotte County and how Churches United for Justice has come up with a plan to help address the problem. The discriminatory practice of or system of denying financial and other service institutions from serving the Black population became known as redlining. Based on the red lines, federal agencies drew up maps to represent neighborhoods that they would not invest in, denying financial services or loans to especially Black neighborhoods. This made it very difficult for Black Americans and other minorities to own property or homes. The Fair Housing Act in 1968 was successful in ending some blatant forms of discrimination, but there are many other ways that redlining and housing discrimination continues to affect communities today through economic inequality, segregation, and health issues. According to data and research, Black Americans experience homelessness at a significantly higher rate than other racial groups. When we think of Dr. King, we think civil rights, but Dr. King was a housing rights champion too. Dr. King had traveled to Chicago in 1965, one of the most racially segregated cities, and he co-led the Chicago Freedom Movement. People came together from various sectors to march through white neighborhoods, and they were advocating for the rights of Black Americans to buy homes anywhere they wish. Dr. King understood that it takes people power coming together to encourage change. At the end of the video, you will be informed of our meeting about how you can support putting an end to homelessness, or maybe you'd like to become a part of Churches United for Justice. as we continue to work to heal Wyandotte County of the inequities that hold us back. And these systems are rooted in racism. If not challenged, they won't change. They will continue, and our children and our grandchildren and everyone after them will continue to be at a disadvantage. I know that's not what we want. And I'm gonna leave you with a word from Isaiah. Learn to do good, seek justice, help the oppressed, defend the cause of orphans, and fight for the rights of widows. Isaiah 1:17. I thank you for your time, and feel free to see me if you have questions afterwards. Thank you.
Redlining is the legacy that we have inherited. It's not our fault, but it is our responsibility. We did not create this exclusionary history, but it is our duty and our call to change it. This is not about me and it's not about you. It's about making so on earth as it is in heaven. It's about letting a different kind of spirit guide us today. A spirit that draws no red lines to separate us by tribe or nation or color of our skin.
Today, we gathered to learn about the history of redlining, specifically in the Kansas City metro area. And we talked about how it's still resonating today and the effects that it's having on people who can't afford homes and how it's spiking up homelessness.
Our members, when we had house meetings and one-on-ones, they told us that this was the most important issue facing them, that they were most concerned about being able to afford housing or had family members or friends who couldn't afford housing or stay in their own homes. And so it was literally, we heard what the people said. And the solution to that is an affordable housing trust fund. And we want to get that fund established, and we want dedicated funding for that to continue to develop. And then we also want to attack homelessness in our communities.
And if that supply of affordable housing can grow, we can reach functional zero. We're making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring. That's the goal. What we need now is for our county to make it a priority, and we're hopeful that they will.
I think people are tired of our communities dealing with these things on an ongoing basis, and we keep waiting and waiting for viable solutions. And what Churches United has done, and Good Faith Network, and Topeka Jump, and all of the other groups that were here, we're trying to bring that to the attention. And not only are we bringing it to the attention of the officials, but we're actually doing the research and the work to find solutions that are viable to make our communities better. So we're not just complaining, we're not the squeaky wheel getting the oil, but we're actually coming up with viable solutions to try to help.
Today's event went well. We had 3 commissioners who are all in favor and are supporting this for us. We have more commissioners, I think, who are on board, and we have momentum. And we want this momentum to push the vote for the other commissioners and also to alert the greater community that we see their need and we are acting for them.
All right, thank you. Churches United for Justice, thank you, Nancy. All right. I am told that we're going to have our next speaker now with the NAACP, Ms. Vern McClellan. All right, come on up and hello, welcome.
Alrighty, hello, good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Verne McClelland. I'm an executive board member on the NAACP. I've been there for about 1 year now. Thankful to my mother, Lisa. She got me to join, and I'm so happy that I joined and able to be a part of the community and civil rights activists and make a change. So I'm just encouraging everyone to come out and do the same. So I stand before you today, not just as an executive board member of the NAACP, but as someone deeply committed to justice, equality, and progress. The NAACP has been at the forefront of the fight for civil rights for over a century, and our mission is as critical today as it was when we began. But here's the truth. Real change doesn't happen without people like you. Our strength lies in our numbers, in our collective voices, and in the power of the community action. When you join the NAACP, you're not just becoming a member, you're becoming part of a legacy, leadership, and advocacy and empowerment. We need you. We truly do need you. Whether it's fighting for fair voting rights, demanding educational equality, or pushing for economic justice, your voice and your encouragement can make a difference. Together, we can continue to break barriers and build opportunities and ensure that justice is not just ideal, but it's reality. So I invite you, I challenge you to take action and join us and stand with us. Be a part of the change we all want to see, because when we work together, there's nothing that we cannot achieve. So if anyone would like to join the NAACP, you can just come speak to me. Yes, let's be a part of this community. It's time to come together more than ever now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to have a short video, I think, next. And then we're going to have...
Made history as the first African-American U.S. Senator representing Mississippi. His election was a monumental step for black representation in the government occurring during the Reconstruction era. Revels was more than just a politician. He was a devoted civil rights leader, advocating for the rights of African Americans in the post-Civil War South. Before his Senate term, Revels served as a minister and educator, fostering education for freed slaves. He understood that knowledge was a vital tool for empowerment. During his time in the Senate, he fought for civil rights, working to address the injustices faced by black Americans and advocating for legislation that would protect their rights. He faced significant challenges, including racism and opposition from those who wished to maintain white supremacy. Despite these obstacles, Revels remained steadfast, symbolizing hope and resilience. His legacy paved the way for future African American politicians. To honor his contributions, learn more about Hiram Revels, and explore the diverse narratives that have shaped American political history, enriching our understanding of democracy and equality.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you guys are all being educated. If you're not, you're in the wrong place, all right? We're all learning here now, and we're going to learn some more from our next guest speaker. He's going to come to us to talk about the importance of voting. Voting is power, to discuss why every vote matters. Let's hear from our 8th District Commissioner, Andrew Davis. I'm going to do you proper, all right? Andrew Davis is the 8th District Commissioner of the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, representing North Central KCK. Sworn in on December 13th, 2021, he focuses on meeting the needs of his district residents. Davis holds a bachelor's in political science and religious studies and a master's in public administration from the University of Kansas, my alma mater. He and his wife, Andrea, are active in supporting local businesses and investing in our community. Please welcome Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, just give yourselves a hand. It is Saturday afternoon. Y'all could be doing a whole bunch of other things, particularly for the young folks that can be doing a whole bunch of other things. And so, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good afternoon. Roswell Church of Christ. My name is Andrew Davis, as stated, and it is an honor to come before you. I was told I have 20 minutes, and there were a lot of questions that they wanted me to answer in 20 minutes, and so I'm going to share with you, and you all can go to the slideshow. I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story, some trends that is pretty concerning regarding recent elections, and then I'll leave some final thoughts on what we can do to get our young people involved. Just waiting for the slideshow when they're ready. Okay, as they are getting the slideshow prepared. Many of you know this, some of you do not. I'm not originally from Wyandotte County. I'm a Dot by choice. And so for me, but my childhood was mostly in Chicago, or the Chicago area. And my earliest memory of being involved in activism and politics was my parents. Growing up, we had a calendar in the kitchen, and on that calendar, my mom had it kind of scribbled in there to vote. Just to give you a little bit more context in Chicago, the year is 2008. There's this guy, this U.S. Senator, by the name of Barack Obama, who's currently in a presidential primary. And so you can imagine being in Chicago, what that was like. And the experience and the memory of that has stuck with me, still sticks with me to this day, where the priority of voting, the priority of casting the vote, particularly for the primary, remains. My mother, unfortunately, she had passed away from breast cancer later on that year, and so she didn't get to see Barack Obama make history as the first African-American president of the United States, but the effort and the intention was still there. And so my influence for public service started with that memory, and then it grew. I was very fortunate enough to be accepted in an advanced placement government class, an AP government class. And it was during that time, this is 2012, where politics was very interesting at that time. Obama was in his second term, and I had learned a lot about government and about the different branches and about bureaucracy. And we, at the end of every AP course, you take a test, right? The AP tests, right? For history, for calculus, what have you. And my junior year, first semester, I had found out I got a 5 on the test. The 5 is the highest score that you can get, which meant I did not have to pay, right, for some college courses. I was able to save money. And I bring that up because for me, it was a moment of confidence and a moment of brilliance that I think for all of our young people in the room, it's very, very important, right, that those seeds of brilliance are planted. And for me, it gave me confidence to pursue government, local government, public service as a profession. You can go to the third, you can just go to number 3 right there. And so here you have some pictures. Those are actually my parents there on the right, and some of the other activities of me being involved. I cut my teeth at the University of Kansas, as was said before, and I lost a lot. I ran for office for Student Senate, both for vice president and just for a regular seat, and lost. And I bring that up because it was transformational when you try to do something and then you fail. From there, as you all can see, if you move over a little bit to the right, you will see my lovely wife, who's an original Dot, Andrea, right here. We've been married for over 6 years. And so, yes, God has been good. you can thank her for having to deal with me because she was the one that got me here to Wyandotte County. And so if you could go to the next slide, I've been blessed, challenged but blessed by being the 8th District Commissioner. And I say that because I got into politics and got into public service because of the very issues that we are talking about today. Whether it's having a great education opportunities for our community, whether it is access to civil rights and maintaining the importance of that, whether it's supporting and expanding our tax base, or at the time when I got elected, it was 2021, and so it was getting our community through COVID. All of these were challenges that we had to take on. And so that's a little bit about my story. I want to shift our focus and talk a little bit more about the trends of what's happening in our nation. And I promise I'll relate all these things to voting. We just had an election in 2024, and as you can see, and I'll just kind of tell you kind of the center of this, or the reason for me bringing this up. Less people voted in 2020 when we had a pandemic than in 2024. Less people voted, right? This was why we were wearing masks and we had to do the whole 6 feet thing and all that stuff. And less people showed up to the polls. The University of Florida has an election lab that tracks kind of voting trends within our nation. And as you can see, that 66% number for 2020 really should be 67%. They had rounded. But those 2 percentage points translates to millions of folks who did not show up in 2024 that did show up in 2020. If you can go to the next slide. Of the 2024 electorate, 71% are white and/or Caucasian, right? 71%. According to, I'm a big NPR fan, so Domenico Montanaro, who's a journalist at NPR, he says, much of that extra boost came from white voters without college degrees, who went up 4 points as a share of the electorate and went 2/3 for our current president. We know that the white population or Caucasian population is actually decreasing. But in our most recent election, we saw an increase in the influence of the vote. If we can go to the next slide. There's also some interesting things that happened on Google during the election week. So Google Trends is this software, right, that Google offers where you can actually track what people are searching for, right? And during that week of leading up to the election, a little bit before and after, as you all can see, searching for how to change my vote, right, went up. Folks had cast it in and they said, I don't know about this. I'm not sure about this, right? It's very interesting because there were 4 states that kind of really led that trend and led that spike. Iowa, Idaho, Alabama, and Kansas. And so there's a lot of questions of not only how do we get folks to vote, but are they educated about what the vote means and the consequences and how that choice is so important. Martin Luther King, in his book, you can go to the next slide there, in his book, Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community, says this. Even when the polls are open to all, Negroes have shown themselves too slow to exercise their voting privileges. There must be a concerted effort on the part of Negro leaders to arouse their people from their apathetic indifference. In the past, apathy was a moral failure. Today, it is a form of moral and political suicide. Moral and political suicide. If you can go to the next slide, please. I pulled and this was a few days ago, so some of this stuff is actually outdated. just some of the real, tangible consequences. I think more than ever in this country, or at least in recent memory, when we say voting doesn't matter, voting doesn't impact me, boy, are we learning. Or maybe God is teaching us something about a right that has been fought for and bought with blood that maybe 2, 3, 4 generations later we are taking for granted. You can go to the next slide. In Wyandotte County, if you look on the WYCO votes, right, our election commissioner pulls or tracks all of the data, and I went back just 4 years ago. 4 years ago, the turnout was about 19%. We had a little under 17,000 people voting. I went back 4 years ago because it's all similar elections, right? If we go 8 years ago, right, 2017, okay, so we're just comparing like years. In 2017, the voter turnout was about 24%. We had 2,000, close to 2,000 more people voting, right? If that trend continues, 2025, this year, we might be at a 14%, 13% voter turnout if another 2,000 people don't show up. And that impacts a lot of things. School board member, Mrs. Clark, who talked a lot about our schools, right? We talk a lot about who is sitting on our local utility board, or who are my colleagues on the commission, or who is leading the community college. These are local offices that do impact your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month realities. They're very, very important. Yet we are still seeing less folks come to the polls. And so as one of the youngest, or probably the youngest elected official in Wyandotte County, and definitely on the Commission for the Unified Government, I get this question of where are the young people? Or Commissioner Davis, you really got to do something about these young people. You really got to get them involved, as if I'm like this whisperer that's like, you just need to do this 1 or 2 things and get a whole bunch of young folks to show up. And I have these conversations with my generation. I have these conversations with my colleagues. And if I were to dwindle down things that we need to be mindful of and think about as I close, there would be 3 of them. How do we get more young folks involved? If you can go to the next slide. And so I broke these particular pillars of engagement, or ideas to think about if we want to get more young folks involved. The first one is opportunity. And ma'am, you did a great job with the singing here. You did a phenomenal job. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because opportunity. If we want to engage young folks, if we want the younger generation to get more involved, not just to vote, but to lead, to get excited about service, there has to be opportunity. There has to. Many of young folks that have had opportunities, and by young, I'm just going to go ahead and say under 40, all right? I know a lot of people are like, so who are you talking about, Commissioner Davis? Like, am I included? I'm going to go ahead and say under 40, okay? You can beat me up a little bit later if you disagree. But many of us have opportunities, particularly as we come of age. Young folks have opportunities to live elsewhere. I'll just do a quick little study here. How many of you are born and raised Wyandotte County folks in this room? Just raise your hand. You're born and raised. Okay. Leave your hand up if your kids or the second generation of your family lives in Wyandotte County. Leave your hand up. Okay. Everybody just look around the room. Remember, y'all got, at least you got 2 generations here. Okay. You can go ahead and put your hands down. There is a phenomenon that is happening in our community where we are outsourcing very talented people that cannot find opportunities, are finding it hard to find jobs, finding it hard to find affordable housing, and they're getting their needs met either across the river or just south of us. We have to be focused on providing opportunity. Opportunity to lead, opportunity to refine our skills, opportunities to perform, opportunities to meaningfully contribute to our community. The second pillar, engaging young folks, is mutual respect. Now, hold on now. I've seen at times throughout my short time being elected where younger folks will come in and want to start a business or want to do some sort of programming, and how quickly I have seen my peers and folks younger than me get shut down, say not your time. I've seen folks my age or younger or near my age or a little bit older try to run for office, and how quickly we are told it's not your time. It's not your time. I was told, I will not name this elected official, I'm kind of going off script here, but I was told, and this was before the election even happened, I'll give it another couple of years, you'll get it next time. That same elected official loves me, and we have a great relationship, right? But this assumption that because we are young, we do not have much to offer, that we need to wait, is something that I would challenge. And I'm here to tell you about the younger generation, again, the under 40 folks, especially those that can vote, who also pay taxes, pay BPU bills, pay sales tax, start businesses, and contribute to our community. Yes, we need to respect our elders, absolutely, but we also need to make sure that the generations, right, upon generations that come before and after us, understand the importance of respect. The last thing I will say is a shared vision. I'm very, very passionate about this because I believe Wyandotte County is in a crossroad. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen our community ask where young folks are and then may advocate against policies or ideas or processes that disadvantage or take away from the quality of life for young folks. My generation needs affordable housing. We need safe nightlife options. We need arcades and sports leagues and playgrounds and community centers and well-equipped libraries. We need childcare options that are affordable, because many of us are parents or are soon to be parents. And yes, we need to make sure that our grandparents, that our parents have what they need and that they can comfortably live in peace. We care about y'all just as much as y'all care about us. I have these conversations all the time of, hey, I understand these property taxes are kind of high, and I went ahead and helped out grandma. I went ahead and helped out mom to make sure that she could keep the lights on. We need each other. We need each other. Many of our priorities are one of the same. But where they differ is where I ask that we think about how to provide ways to find consensus. When young people in Wyandotte County are frustrated with Wyandotte County, many of us don't vote. We move. I'm going to say that one more time. When young folks in Wyandotte County are frustrated about what's happening in Wyandotte County, we don't even have these conversations. We change addresses. If we are going to change that dynamic, then we have to do things differently. And I believe that as we share power, as we share vision, as we all come to the table and say, what concerns you, what keeps you up at night, we can make our community better. Last thing I will say, I'll go ahead and get out of your hair. There's a great organization, Voters' Rights Network. I don't know how many of you all are familiar, but Ms. Connie Brown does phenomenal work on engaging Wyandotte County and educating us and keeping us abreast of everything that is going on. And so I would encourage you all to go and check out her work and partner with her. But thank you all so much for having me. I have no idea where I am because the timer went away, and that is all right. God bless you, Roswell Church. Happy Black History Month. Thank you.
All right. Come on up here, Charlotte. You're with me.
I'm so sorry. I'm always just jumping up and down. And, you know, we've been getting through our program so quickly that we wanted to give everyone an opportunity. Maybe if you have a question for our speakers today, if you all could come up. And if you have we have about, I'm trying to get you guys out on a Saturday, right? I'm so happy you all joined us today. But if Mark could come on up, and then Shanae, if you all have any questions that you want to ask, the reason why, and I know the political climate right now, just the social climate, it's got a lot of us, you know, tensed up, right? But what did Obama say in 2016, or what did we say? Fired up and, that doesn't sound like we're fired up or that we're ready to go. What did he say? We said we are fired up and
Ready to go.
fired up and ready to go. So that's the whole point for today. Because we are able to take advantage and live and take advantage of the liberties that we have today. Because people fought for our political rights, they fought for our rights for education, they fought for the rights for us to group together and be activists. And we cannot, and this is, in this moment, we can't just abandon that. And I think we all know that. I'm preaching to the choir. We all know that. So if Bernae, if you want to come on up too. If you all have any questions that you want to ask, we're going to just do this for maybe 10 minutes. So we're going to keep the questions simple and the answers simple. And if you want to speak to them afterwards, please do. One of the biggest things that I've always wanted to join the NAACP, and I've tried to join the NAACP a couple of times, but I'm going to make sure I get it done this time. There are different ways you can join NAACP. And I know you said you would talk to us afterwards, but could you give us a couple of different ways that we could join the NAACP?
Yes, so we have pamphlets that you're able to join. You can also join online, NAACP.org, or you can fill out our pamphlet, which I will have back in the back. It's a 1-year, $30 annual fee. Imagine how many times we spend $30 daily on who knows what, McDonald's, Chipotle, anything of that sort. So be a part of your community. It's only one time $30 annual fee charge to fight for justice. So that's how we're able to join. And then we do like monthly meetings. If you're unable to do the monthly meetings, you can always do it via Zoom if you're unable to come in person and things of that sort. We have a lot of great things that's coming up. So yes.
All right, thank you so very much. So that's $35 fee, so that you can get so that since you're fired up and ready to go, you can do something with that energy. Mark, what are some of the things that I'm sorry. I'll come back to you. I'll come back. Oh, here you go. With the you're involved with the ACLU.
Well, I used to be.
You used to be, but now you're involved with the Kansas Black Leadership Council.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of those initiatives that are in your group that people can get involved in so that we can affect change, so that we can continue and build on the progress that we have gained as a people?
Well, it begins and ends with voting. And I would agree with everyone up here who was saying that. I just wanted to mention really quick, it's something that I learned recently, that the Niagara movement, which was the forerunner to the NAACP, had 2 charter members who had Quindaro addresses. The NAACP belongs to this place. If anybody needs to belong to the NAACP, it's folks here.
All right. I truly did not know that, but thank you for dropping that off. I mean, there are, when you go through, and I would say this year, every year, every day is Black History, right? We should be celebrating that, no matter what is going on in the world, because we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So for you, Andrew, we talk about the Voting Rights Act of 1965 a lot, and you have a master's degree in public administration, is that correct? What do you feel about that? And sometimes we know that it may be expiring, or some things may be changing with that. And what can we do as a people to make sure that stays in place?
I would say get involved, and because that is, regarding federal laws and our judiciary, this is really the courts, hopefully smacking some of this nonsense down, but getting involved so Wyandotte County was kind of the center of the redistributing, right? I'm blanking on the name of it, but the redistributing of precincts, right, that determines congressional redistricting, right? And so what happened with Wyandotte County was across I-70, we got split, so my congressperson is not Sharice. If yours is Sharice is awesome. But stay involved. Stay involved. When you hear your representative, your congressperson, your senator, right, Senator Moran or Senator Marshall, having something in Wyandotte County, or even having something in Johnson County or somewhere nearby, show up. Show up. Many times it is not folks that look like us, quite frankly, or folks that live in Wyandotte County that are in the faces of and engaging, particularly our federal leaders. I know a lot of folks who show up to Topeka, which is great, but we also need our congressional representation to know that we are also paying attention to what they are voting on, and we are also paying attention to how they prioritize Wyandotte County, no different than y'all paying attention to me and how I vote, all right?
Well, I used to run the Kansas African American Museum, and I took a tour group to Selma, Alabama. And our tour guide was a lady named Joanne Bland. And when she was like a grandmotherly person, and she got on the bus, and the first thing she said, when I talk, you don't talk. And when you talk, I won't talk. And when I lead you into some of these sketchy areas, if I run, you run. But this lady was on the Edmund Pettus Bridge for Bloody Sunday. This was about voting rights. She said, Klansmen were given bats that had barbed wire wrapped around it. They beat those people off the bridge, down the street, entered their church, and beat them in the church. She said she saw 2 policemen pick up a teenage boy and throw him through the baptismal wall, breaking both of his arms. They did that so we could vote. We have no business not voting.
I mean, I felt the fire off of you with that. We have no business not voting, right? The reason, and education paves the way. Did you want to say something? But go ahead. You.
Sorry, y'all. I did just want to say one more thing. Is it on? Okay. If you guys do have any more questions, I just want to point out that our president of NAACP Kansas chapter, Terrence Maddox. Terrence, raise your hand. He is here in the building as well. So that's our president.
Wow. Thank you so much. And then, what we fought for was learning how to read. That was one of the first ways we were activists, right? We had to learn how to read, and that paved the way to us wanting to gain an education. Without an education, none of us would really be able to progress the way that we have today. Shanae, you with the school board, what is one major issue that you see that is happening with our children, and how we nurture and manage our children? Because children need to be managed. I've just been blessed with a little person, so I'm very happy, and he needs to be managed. But sometimes I'm being managed. So, but they need to be managed. What is something that you can impart upon us, especially when we speak in terms of parent participation and them showing up?
I would say for our parents not to forget they have a voice. So we have community comments. We have listening and learning tours. We intentionally add those listening and learning tours there. Your teacher should know who you are. I'm a busy adult. I don't have time to go to the school. Send an email. most of the teachers even text. There's a way to text those teachers. Making sure that they know that these kids do come from a home and that someone cares about them. One of the things we hear the most, I think that's the most beneficial thing that you can do. One of the things that we hear the most is that where your staff, they don't come from here. I'm not saying that we don't have staff that care. I will say that we do have staff that care, but we also get the comment that your staff doesn't look like us, they don't sound like us. Well, our staff needs to know who we are, that we do care about our students, that we will take action on behalf of our own students, and you can't treat them any kind of way, and I won't say a thing about that. If you've seen Washington students, they protested recently, and come to find out, there were parents that knew or could have. At the end of the day, our students took the step to say, this is not okay, and whether it was right or wrong, I cannot speak on that, but what I can tell you is our students spoke for their voice, and they were supported.
Thank you. Okay, I just have to, let's just give it up one more time for them. They've given us and blessed us with a wealth of information because we are fired up and all right, thank you so very much. And just stick around. We have something for you a little bit later, too. Thank you. All right, we're going to keep on moving to the next situation, and that's going back to our theatrical team.
All right, hello. So we just have a couple of things. Oops. Charlotte, your phone? Yeah, you'll be looking for this. All right. So as Charlotte mentioned, we are running ahead of the program, which is a good thing, right? It's a Saturday, but you guys have all blessed us here with your time. So we are feeling blessed because you're here. We're going to have a couple more things, and then we will very kindly tip our hats, and you'll be able to remember this whole evening, all right? Next, we have a play. Yes, there's a play. Charlotte wrote, the RCOC acting team returns with a stirring dramatic piece, Her Fight, Your Choice. I hope it's stirring. Nobody here is stirred, okay? So give us a minute to get set up, and then we will perform for you Her Fight, Your Choice. All right, give us a second.
stuff on the news, the radio. I'm so tired of it. It's like they're trying to take our rights away all over again. It's like the 60s all over again. Oh my goodness.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Leah, how was class?
Oh, it was good. But all everybody's talking about is the election. I'm so tired of that.
Yeah. And you should have voted.
Don't start that again, Mom.
Oh, Leah, that's such a cop-out.
No disrespect, Uncle David, but stay out of this.
Well, actually, Leah, he's right. Do you know how many people fought for you to vote? And they bled and died for you to vote. Your great-grandparents were among them.
I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying, what's the point? Politicians never listen. Nothing changes.
Leah, you know, what?
I know that our grandparents did what they could, but maybe I don't.
Well, Leah, do you know that how many people fought for this right? Do you know that Grandma and Grandpa fought for these rights? Do you know that Granddad was arrested at a sit-in and our grandmother was put in jail? They fought together for civil and women's rights.
I get that. No, and I do get it. But once again, nothing ever changes.
What? Nothing changes? It's because people think like you that nothing changes. Do you know what it was like for them? I can hear my grandmother talking right now.
In 1920, women finally won the right to vote. But it didn't matter for black women in the South. They faced literacy tests, poll taxes, and intimidation. They faced I'm sorry, I'm going blank. Can I start over? Okay. Okay. In 1920, women finally won the right to vote, but that didn't matter for women, for black women in the South. They faced poll taxes, literacy tests, and intimidation. They tried to silence us, but we kept going. We marched, we organized, we educated each other. Voting wasn't just a right, it was a weapon. They called us troublemakers, but good trouble was necessary. We knew the fight wasn't just for us, it was for you and for the ones who would come after us.
I just didn't know it was that bad. I just didn't know.
Of course you did. Because people like them fought to make sure that you didn't know and didn't have to go through it. But the fight isn't over with. Leah, they're still trying to take away voter ID laws, redlining, purging the voter rolls. There's just new ways to keep us down.
And Leah, if you don't vote, you let them win. And how can you complain when you're not doing anything to change the system?
I just feel so small. Like, Like my one little vote isn't gonna matter. And the things I say and the people, it just doesn't matter.
Nothing changes until people like you think like you. That's exactly what they want you to do. But every vote counts, Leah. Every single one. Do you know in the 2000 presidential election, the vote in Florida was won by 537 votes. That's just 537.
Wow.
That's smaller than your dorm,
Wow, I didn't know.
your lecture hall. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
I didn't realize that.
And that's why when I turned 18, I went and registered to vote.
Okay, Uncle David, I get it. Great-grandpa and great-grandpa, they really did all that stuff.
Oh, my phone's ringing. Oh, wait a minute. My phone's ringing. Let me take this call. Now, who could this be? Oh, girl, it's Ronnie. Oh, hey, Ronnie. Oh, how's my favorite nephew? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We were just talking about you.
Yeah, we was just talking about voters, about voting. You came in at the perfect time.
Yep, that was your Uncle David. Yeah, that was him talking. We were just talking about voting. What do you mean? You don't know if you're gonna vote or not.
What?
Oh, no.
Let me have it, Mom. Hello? Hey, Gus. Yeah, it's me. You gotta vote. It's all right. Grandpa and Grandma and Grandpa, they fought for this. No baby can not vote. I'm American citizen.
Thank you. Thank you. We practiced, but we needed a little bit more practice. I'm proud of my little actors and actresses. I hope you got the gist of it, okay? How important is it to vote? How many people sacrificed so that we could go to the polls and cast a vote? Every time we are asked to go to an election, every time that it's time, whether it's a local election or whether it's a presidential year, we need to be aware and we need to go out and do what? Vote. Vote. It's a privilege to be able to do that. And none of us should take it for granted. All right? Next up on the agenda, please stand as we honor our heritage with the Psalmster singing the Black National Anthem. Aha, I guess you guys didn't know there was going to be audience participation, did ya? Hopefully you've enjoyed yourselves. Hopefully you've learned a little bit tonight. We're going to have our beloved minister, Archer Harris, close us out.
Let's say amen. Amen. Boy, it's good to be here this evening. I've just got 2 or 3 housekeeping things to do, and then we will move on with just a quick Black History moment. Let me just move on with the program and say this. What a crowd that we have here this evening. Give yourselves a hand. Say amen when you can. We would love many of you back tomorrow. We're a safe church. We're a biblical church. We're a healthy church. If you don't have a church, we're making a difference in the community. If you don't have a church, we're saving lives. If you don't have a church, we're building housing. If you don't have a church, you want to be a part of something big and great, you come back here 10:30 in the morning. I don't preach long at all. Say amen when you can. All right. Amen. Amen. This evening, we want to thank each and every one of you for attending the program. Let's give the participants applause. Let's give everybody participants applause. Let's give the planners applause. Charlotte Ford in the house. Charlotte. Clap it up there. Charlotte in the house. Hyron Williams. Charlotte, where you at, Charlotte? Seeing Charlotte out here, appreciate that. What a great program. I've only got 3 minutes left. We'll wrap it up. Let's give the fellowship team, Bill Davis, Deacon Bill Davis, is he here, the fellowship team. Sometimes you gotta turn things over there. Bill Davis, stand up, fellowship, man. You turned it over to Charlotte and them, and they ran with it. Awesome. Now, can I tell you a brief story of Black history? About persistence, educating people, change, ingenuity, the value of education, thinking outside the box, finding a way, and making a way when all the odds are against you. In 1847, the state of Missouri passed a law that said it was illegal to educate people of color, freed slaves, or anyone who's come from slavery. 1847, the state of Missouri banned educating black people. They threatened to put anyone in jail that taught blacks or Africans. They threatened to put them in prison if they caught you at a church or at any event educating people. Law enforcement would check for classes at local churches. Law enforcement would check at local civic halls to see if there was anyone educating anyone of color. So a Baptist pastor by the name of John Berry Meacham said, we must educate the people in spite of the laws. I'll close in a minute. He had 300 students in the basement of the First African Baptist Church in St. Louis. The powers that be threatened him. They said, we'll put you in prison and we'll put you in jail. He said, I must come up with a plan to educate Africans and African Americans or to help them get a trade. This is what he did, y'all. Y'all know where the story's going. He raised money. He said, if we can't have a school on land, we'll do something different. He bought a steamboat, took it down by, I just wish I had a church, took it down by the riverside, off the Mississippi River. Had 300 students would come every day and sneak their way on to this steamboat. And then he couldn't. And they said, we're going to shut you down. We're going to put you in jail. So he moved the steamboat to the center of the Mississippi River, laid down an anchor, and was able to educate folks, able to teach them reading and writing, able to teach them arithmetic, able to teach them culture, able to teach them about their history, able to teach them African history. It was a huge success. They called it the Floating Freedom School. And from that, we have the freedom schools that are still in existence today. Is there anybody in here tonight that you had to do something a little extra, as young folks say? Is there anybody here tonight where you had to do some stuff that you didn't think you was going to have to do and raise some money to help some other folks get educated? Is there anybody here tonight that had to think differently? Think strategically, meet privately, execute a plan, although law enforcement would get you. Is there anybody? I wish I had a church, but I'm going to leave you alone. I'm going to leave you alone. Freedom schools, freedom schools, freedom schools, teaching trades. said, we're going to buy a boat, move it to the center of the Mississippi River. Somebody with me tonight. And we're going to educate folks. We're going to lay down anchor on rough waters. Anybody been through some rough waters here tonight? That if it had not been for the Lord who was on your side, you know you wouldn't have made it out of the country, Mississippi. You wouldn't have made it out of Deep Woods, Arkansas. You wouldn't. Let me leave you alone. Let me close. Well, I'd preach here, but come back tomorrow. We'll finish it up tomorrow. This evening, my job is to just recognize 4 or 5 more people that have been a part of this program tonight. We wanted to thank you. Is Shanae here? Shanae George? Shanae Clark is here, was here. She's in the back. We have an award for you. This is a gift card for the barbecue place. It is an award for the barbecue place that is owned by Clayton Wells, Hickory Log Barbecue. Shanae Clark, we have something for you. Mark McCormick, we come forward, sir. Come forward. Hickory Log Barbecue is one of our own barbecue. He's the brother of Charla Wells and Carlton Wells, and I know the Wells family, they're here. So that is a thank you for being here this evening. Thank you for being here. Bless you, bless you. Vernay McClellan, thank you for being here. Come on up. NAACP in the house. Only costs $30 to join. Come on, y'all. You can go to Hickory Log and get you some barbecue. Bless you, bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Andrew Davis, appreciate you. Future community icon, involved in politics. Might be running for mayor. Let me leave that alone. I don't say no. Wife said no. Appreciate you being here. Wife said no. She said no. She let that die down. She said, nuh-uh, don't put that out there. It's on Facebook. It's on Facebook. It's on Facebook. Appreciate the director of the NAACP for being here. And appreciate each and every one of you who came from other congregations and other churches. I want to recognize my elders that are here. Elder Randy George at the Village Initiative. And then Roswell, please stand. Elder Stan Addison. Please stand for their work in the community. Now, only thing left to do is do a quick prayer, and then we are out. And who we going to, it's about time to go. Jackie, can you just pray us up? Yeah, you got it. You got this. Young man, you just pray us up. Just pray us up that God continues to move our community forward, move our churches forward, that more people will vote and be educated. Thank you. Bless you, bless you. Thank y'all for being here this evening.
Let's bow. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing everybody to be here today to learn about Black history and everything else, Lord. Please bless everybody as we close out. Please bless everybody have a safe travel home. And please bless everybody to be able to encourage more people to come and learn about these things and our past and the struggles that we went through. In the living Son Jesus' name, I pray. We pray. Amen.
Shake hands and be friendly.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Fourscore years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came